Police officers often get a bad rap for the authority they hold, sometimes rightfully so, as power can be abused. But when trouble strikes, they're the first ones called to the scene, facing chaos, danger, and things most people can't even imagine. I was a cop for 30 years and thought I'd seen it all: murders, overdoses, standoffs, the kind of stuff that eats away at you until you either crack or retire. I made it to retirement at 50, badge intact, mind mostly whole. But there's one night I'll never forget, one I can still smell in my sleep, one that shows up when I least expect it. It was late fall, the air already biting cold. My partner Steve and I were on the night shift, patrolling the quieter suburban zones that usually didn't offer more than a few noise complaints or teenagers throwing eggs. The call came in around 2:17 a.m. A domestic disturbance reported on Crenshaw Lane. Anonymous neighbor. Raised voices. Possible violence. Standard stuff. I was already thinking it was probably another couple yelling about cheating or bills, maybe a trash living room and some broken dishes. But the moment we pulled up to the house, I knew something was wrong. The porch light was off, but every window on the ground floor was lit from within. The front door was wide open, creaking gently in the wind. We stepped out of the cruiser, the beam from Steve's flashlight slicing through the darkness. As soon as we stepped onto the porch, the smell hit us like a brick wall. It was sharp, chemical, and so strong it made my nose burn. Underneath, it was the familiar skunky odor of marijuana. But this wasn't just weed. It was something cooked, meth, or maybe crack. The kind of stuff that seeps into the walls and rots everything it touches. Jesus, Steve muttered. You smell that? Yeah, I said. Get your hand on that holster. We entered with weapons drawn, announcing ourselves in the usual calm, firm tone. Police. Anyone inside, make yourself known. No answer. But then thump. From upstairs. A single heavy footfall. Steve gave me a quick look. He was always the more cautious of us, a stickler for protocol, and tonight he looked wired tighter than I'd ever seen. We go slow, he whispered. We crept up the stairs, avoiding the spots that creaked. At the top, we found 3 doors. 2 were open, bedrooms that looked trashed but empty. The third was closed. That's where the sound had come from. I knocked. No response. My heart thudded against my ribs as I slowly pushed it open. The smell intensified. I had to force down a gag. Then I saw it. A body curled unnaturally on the floor. Female. Rotting. Her skin had taken on that waxy gray-green hue, bloated in some places and sunken in others. Even without a light, we could tell she'd been dead for days. Steve clicked on the switch and the room burst into a flickering, yellow glow. No furniture. Just the corpse in the corner and dark stains on the floor that told a violent story. I backed out, while rising in my throat. I'll clear the rest of the house, I said. Steve nodded and raised his weapon. The next room I opened was disturbingly small. No windows, no furniture, just a crusty old cot pushed against the wall. It smelled of mold and old piss. The walls had dark smears, as if someone had run their filthy hands across them again and again. Then I heard Steve scream. I turned and sprinted down the hallway, weapon ready. The light in the room he was in buzzed and flickered. On top of a dresser against the far wall was a shirtless man, emaciated, eyes wide, his chest rising and falling in ragged breaths like a feral animal. He was sprawled flat on his stomach, arms gripping the edges like a lizard clinging to a rock. Steve had his gun drawn, barking commands. Get down. Now. That's when something cold latched onto my ankle. A hand. It came from under the bed. I yelped, twisting instinctively and stomping down hard with my free foot. The hand jerked back, followed by a low groan. I dropped to one knee, reached under, and yanked hard. Out slid a woman, if you could still call her that. Gaunt, pale, and dirty, her clothes hung from her like rags. Her eyes were wide and unfocused, pupils the size of dimes. Her lips curled into a stupid grin, revealing blackened gums and chipped teeth. She reeked of chemicals and something far worse, like something sick had died inside her. She started to laugh, a hoarse, animalistic sound that crawled into my ears and nested there. I cuffed her while she babbled nonsense. Steve got the guy down and restrained him too, but he kept twitching, muttering to himself in a voice so soft it felt like whispers in a different room. We were dragging them out of the house, halfway down the porch steps, when it happened. A scream ripped through the air. The kind of scream that sounds more animal than human. We looked up,